It's day 106 of the Wheel Chimps challenge, so let's pick the random towers now. The first one we're going to have is a pretty interesting one map list. This basically means I'll be looking for a map on map list's expert list, which is like expert level maps but just custom, which is pretty cool. Then our hero is going to be Azili, which is pretty interesting. Azili is a fun hero to use, and then our tower is awfully similar to another one where I got Azili and Top Path Wizard recently. I think that was even like last wheel spin. So we have the Top Path Wizard, the Archmage. It got a few nerfs, so we'll be checking out how good that is. And then Spike Middle Path, which is actually extremely strong, so we should really not have much of any issues. I ended up picking this map, which is on the expert list. You can see the code there, and it looks very daunting at first, but it's actually not that difficult, to be honest. There is one really weird thing that just makes Azili pretty bad on this map, which I guess I'll explain later, but they basically come in one intersection and then like off the map, so like you can't see it. They loop around to come back out one way. So there's 6 lanes, but they all like come in and intervene here and there, and it's pretty chill. One cool thing about that is that one of the paths, it like takes like this really long turn out, so you're basically fighting like 2 waves, and then like a little bit later the other third of the map, just like, or I guess the other third of the round, just comes in sometime later, although it kind of sneaks out on the top side. So it has its trade-offs. It's generally fairly easy though. One thing that I noticed is that there's a lack of space, so this early game we're going to be going for the wizard. We can't really get like much of a concrete setup, and that's kind of difficult for like a village, so I can't really get a village in there that well. But what I end up doing is literally getting all the towers under the village. Well, I guess the important towers, which is going to be the Archmage and the Carpet of Spikes. And the Archmage got some nerfs recently, but it should still be relatively strong. We can micro around its wall of fire and all that good stuff. I don't know, because the nerfs were to the middle path. I'm not necessarily sure if the bottom path is better, like a 502 Archmage or whatever. Not really sure exactly, but I just get a village in there. I had an issue with camo. Azili unfortunately could not get the early camo, so I had to get a 002 dart, and then I went for a camo village before round 40, which is pretty interesting, but in this case it should work. For round 40, I did have to buy just a small ice monkey to be able to slow down the ceramic, so wall of fire can get that. That actually had a permafrost on it, so the Bloons would be slower after. Got an alk buff on the wizard, which I guess is fine, and then we'll be pretty much rushing straight into the Archmage and the Carpet of Spikes. So I'll come back on round 63 when something interesting happens, but in the meantime, we're just going to be moving straight along. I unfortunately wasn't able to beat round 63. The waves coming from everywhere just didn't really work out. I don't have a whole lot of pierce, so I ended up going for a Abyssal Warrior. Yes, that's the tier 4, the Abyssal Warrior, which will increase the pierce and kind of do some cleanup. And it won't be under the village range, but it will actually hit the Carpet of Spikes, which is really the important one, in the Archmage too, so we're going to get a lot more pierce, and that pierce increase definitely was needed. It really helped out in the late game a whole lot. It also can slow some stuff down, ink a few ceramics, just some cool stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. It was a good addition. With that addition, it might be possible to cut the radar scanner on the village, because that could possibly beat enough of the early game camos by itself to when we get Archmage. I then would have the shimmer and I wouldn't have to deal with camos. So potentially that could have cut like $2,000 from the save up. I feel like it could have, but for the sake of it, I'm not going to restart just to save that. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, we get the Archmage. We should be completely fine until Carpet of Spikes, and then we'll be entering the late game. So I'm not going to have to buy a whole lot of support. There is one thing later on round 98 that I'll have to buy, but before that I'll just mention Azili. So basically Azili, you get the hex and you can do like hex jumping where you can use the targeting and time it at a really good time, maybe do some micro on things that can be microed to basically just insta-kill all of the children of a majority of the biggest targets. So like on round 99 you'd use the hex to get rid of all of the children of all the ZOMGs and a decent amount of the fortified BFBs too. It actually is really powerful if you can use it right. Some towers it doesn't really work with, but Archmage definitely a tower that it will work with, so that's pretty cool. Carpet of Spikes, you can do some stuff with Carpet of Spikes too, but unfortunately with this map, one of the lanes, so that lane where that first CMG is coming out, the one that goes all the way up and then loops around, that lane will very easily be considered the first target, which means that Hex, when on first and strong, which is really the two targetings that Hex jump will only work on, like close it won't really do much of anything, and last it obviously won't do anything. So when it's on first and strong, it's going to be targeting one of the BFBs or ZOMGs all the way up there, meaning you can't really hex jump that well. So I was able to do what I could on 98, but unfortunately I had to buy an Arctic Wind to be able to stop some of the ceramics because I couldn't really take out enough children to have enough pierce with just what I have. But that's all I needed. We took out 99 and 100 pretty easily, and we ended off with a good-ish amount of cash spare just to end it. 47k spare. It's a pretty cool map though. I definitely recommend checking it out, and King Schnarf is definitely an insane map anchor. Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!